Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, okay, okay. Haribol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, my dear devotees. Tonight we're hearing from the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 18, entitled "The Perfection of Renunciation." And we're going to read text 68. Ya idam paramam guyam mad bhaktesu abhigachati bhaktim mayi param kritva mam evaisasi asamsaya. For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he will come back to me, meaning Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Let me see. Generally, it is advised that Bhagavad Gita be discussed amongst the devotees only, for those who are not devotees will understand neither Krishna nor Bhagavad Gita. Those who do not accept Krishna as he is and Bhagavad Gita as it should be, and Bhagavad Gita as it is should not try to explain Bhagavad Gita whimsically and become offenders. Bhagavad Gita should be explained to persons who are ready to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, let's close the door. Okay, that's better. Generally, it is advised that Bhagavad Gita be discussed among the devotees only. For those who are not devotees will understand neither Krishna nor Bhagavad Gita. Those who do not accept Krishna as he is and Bhagavad Gita as it is should not try to explain Bhagavad Gita whimsically and become offenders. Bhagavad Gita should be explained to persons who are ready to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is a subject matter for the devotees only, and not for philosophical speculators. Anyone, however, who has sincerely to present Bhagavad Gita as it is will advance in devotional activities and reach the pure devotional state of life. As a result of such pure devotion, he is sure to go back home, back to Godhead. Text 69. Nachatasman manusyesu, kaschin me priya kritama, bhavita na chame tasmat, anya priyataro bhuvi. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. Wow, that's a wonderful statement. So that statement is referring back to the previous verse, which says, for one who explains this supreme secret, meaning Bhagavad Gita, to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end, he will come back to me. And now it's saying, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. So, if you take up preaching Krishna consciousness, you're going to become endeared by Krishna. And he will therefore protect you, give you all knowledge, and make sure that you are always engaged in his service. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours, meaning Krishna and his devotee, Arjuna, worships me by his intelligence. Text 71. One second. Shraddhavan anasyutascha shinuyad api yo nara sopi mukta subal lokan prap yunat punya karmanam. One who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. So there's some very nice words here in this purport, in this verse. It says, Shraddhavan, which means one who's faithful to God. And Anasuya, someone who's not envious of God or devotees. Srinuyat, hears very carefully, Krishna conscious knowledge. And Mukta, being liberated. Subhan, the auspicious. Lokan, planets. Prapnuvat, he attains. Punya karmanam, of the pious. So, therefore, this verse says, and one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. Now, this is something we should look forward to. As devotees, we should strive to do what's said here. In other words, Shraddhavan, being faithful to Lord Krishna. Anasuya, never envious of anyone. Shinuyat, listens very carefully to lectures given by the Lord. Then he is guaranteed mukta, liberation, and he will attain the lokan, the auspicious planets, and where there are punya karmanam, all the pious devotees of the Lord. Translation. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In the 67th verse of this chapter, the Lord explicitly forbade the Gita's being spoken to those who are envious of the Lord. In other words, Bhagavad Gita is for the devotees only. But it so happens that sometimes a devotee of the Lord will hold open class, and in that class, not all the students are expected to be devotees. Why do such persons hold open class? It is explained here that although not everyone is a devotee, still there are many men who are not envious of Krishna. They have faith in him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If such persons hear from a bona fide devotee about the Lord, the result is that they become at once free from all sinful reactions, and after that attain to the planetary system where all righteous persons are situated. Therefore, simply by hearing Bhagavad Gita, even a person who does not try to be a pure devotee attains the result of righteous activities. Thus, a pure devotee of the Lord gives everyone a chance to become free from all sinful reactions and to become a devotee of the Lord. Generally, those who are free from sinful reactions, those who are righteous, very easily take to Krishna consciousness. The word punya karmanam is very significant here. This refers to the performance of great sacrifices like the Asvamedha Yajna mentioned in the Vedas, in the Vedic literature. Those who are righteous in performing devotional service, but who are not pure, can attain the planetary system of the pole star, or Dhruvaloka, where Dhruva Maharaj is presiding. He is a great devotee of the Lord, and he has a special planet, which is called the pole star. Text 72. Kachit etach shuddham partha tya yaikagrena chetasa kaschid ajnana samoha pranastaste Dhananjaya. O son of Pritha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord was acting as a spiritual master of Arjuna. Therefore, it was his duty to inquire from Arjuna whether he understood the whole Bhagavad Gita in its proper perspective. If not, the Lord was ready to re-explain any point or the whole Bhagavad Gita, if so required. Actually, anyone who hears Bhagavad Gita from a bona fide spiritual master like Krishna or his representative will find that all his ignorance is dispelled. Bhagavad Gita is not an ordinary book written by a poet or fiction writer. It is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Any person fortunate enough to hear these teachings from Krishna or from his bona fide spiritual representative is sure to become a liberated person and get out of the darkness of ignorance. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Arjuna Uvacha, Nasto moha smatir labda, Tvat prasadan mayuchita, Stitosmi gatasandeha, Karishya vachanam tava. This is a very beautiful verse, very poetic. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions. Now, every one of us should be willing to make a statement like this to Krishna. Let me read that again. And this is what Arjuna says. But whatever Arjuna is saying here is the essence of a genuine devotee. My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions. Now that's the statement of a genuine devotee. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The constitutional position of a living entity, represented by Arjuna, is that he has to act according to the order of the Supreme Lord. He is meant for self-discipline. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the actual position of the living entity is that of eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. Forgetting this principle, the living entity becomes conditioned by material nature, but in serving the Supreme Lord, he becomes the liberated servant of God. The living entity's constitutional position is to be a servitor. He has to serve either the illusory energy or Maya or the Supreme Lord. If he serves the Supreme Lord, he is in his normal condition. But if he prefers to serve the illusory external energy, then certainly he will be in bondage. In illusion, the living entity is serving in this material world. He is bound by his lust and desires, yet he thinks of himself as the master of the world. This is called illusion. When a person is liberated, his illusion is over, and he voluntarily surrenders unto the Supreme Lord to act according to the Lord's desires. The last illusion, the last snare of Maya, is to trap the living entity, and it is the proposition that he is God. The living entity thinks that he is no longer a conditioned soul, but God. He is so unintelligent that he does not think that if he were God, then how could he be in doubt? That he does not consider. So that is the last snare of illusion. Actually, to become free from the illusory energy is to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and agree to act according to his order. The word moha is very important in this verse. Moha refers to that which is opposed to knowledge. Actually, real knowledge is the understanding that every living being is eternally a servitor of the Lord. But instead of thinking oneself in that position, the living entity thinks that he is not a servant, that he is the master of this material world, for he wants to lord it over the material nature. That is his illusion. This illusion can be overcome by the mercy of the Lord or by the mercy of a pure devotee. When that illusion is over, one agrees to act in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is acting according to Krishna's order. A conditioned soul, illusioned by the external energy of matter, does not know that the Supreme Lord is the master who is full of knowledge and who is the proprietor of everything. Whatever he desires, he can bestow upon his devotees. He is the friend of everyone, and he is especially inclined to his devotee. He is the controller of this material nature and of all living entities. He is also the controller of the inexhaustible time, and he is full of all opulences and all potencies. The Supreme Personality of Godhead can even give himself to the devotee. One who does not know him is under the spell of illusion. He does not become a devotee, but a servitor of Maya. Arjuna, however, after hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, became free from all illusion. He could understand that Krishna was not only his friend, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he understood Krishna factually. So to study Bhagavad Gita is to understand Krishna factually. When a person is in full knowledge, he naturally surrenders to Krishna. When Arjuna understood that it was Krishna's plan to reduce the unnecessary increase of population, he agreed to fight according to Krishna's desire. He again took up his weapons, his arrows and bow, to fight under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So these are all very important statements. Only devotees are interested to hear this. Non-devotees don't care about any of this. They go on merrily in ignorance, avoiding hearing lectures given by genuine devotees, avoiding chanting Hare Krishna, avoiding trying to understand the relationship with God. No. In a sense, they believe that they're God themselves, and therefore they're cheating themselves and trying to cheat others also. So this verse is wonderful because, first of all, it's very poetic, and this is Arjuna speaking. And Arjuna says, Nastamohas matir labda, tat prasadan mayuchita, stitosmi gata sandeha, karishya vachanam tava. Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions. Every one of us, at some point or other, should actually make a statement like this, speaking to Krishna. That means that we have become knowledgeable and also determined to have a spiritual life. Therefore, we want to surrender to Krishna, and we make a statement of surrender. And this is what this verse is about. It is a statement of surrender, where it says, Nasto moha smatir labdva tat prasadan mayuchyuta stitosmi gata sandeha karishya vachanam tava. Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions. This should be said by everyone. We should come to the genuine point of surrender to Krishna and very eloquently repeat what's being said here. Arjuna, of course, is a devotee and very advanced devotee, and therefore he makes a statement of surrender to Krishna. What is that statement? My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions. When a devotee speaks like this and addresses this to Krishna, that means that he's become serious to surrender to Krishna and live a life of Krishna consciousness. And therefore, in the purport, it says, Arjuna is a great devotee of the Lord. If we follow in the footsteps of Arjuna to understand Krishna, then our life will be happy and successful. Sanjaya realized this, and as he began to understand it, he related the conversation to Dhritarashtra. Now, now it is concluded that wherever there is Krishna and Arjuna, there is victory. Hari Bol. So, this is the genuine knowledge necessary to become a devotee. By hearing these statements made by Arjuna, Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. By hearing these statements made by Arjuna, it purifies us also. And we should, at one point or other, make the same statements as Arjuna is making here, addressing it to Krishna, and asking for forgiveness for any any activities that we may have performed that was not Krishna conscious, and begging the mercy of Krishna so that we can, from this point on, always be engaged in his devotional service. That means that we become genuine devotees. We have to make those statements out loud, speaking to Krishna, just as Arjuna does. He says, one second. One second. Yeah, these are statements made by one second. Yeah, this is a statement made by Krishna. It says, Sarvadharman parityaja mam ekam saranam vraja am tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshishyami masucha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. That is a very important verse. It's the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 18, text number 66. Okay. Then he continues. Idam te natapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na chaksur susav vachyam na chamam yo biasuyate. This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me, meaning Krishna. And in the purport, Prabhupada writes, persons who have not understood the austerities of the religious process, who have never attempted devotional service in Krishna consciousness, who have not tended to a pure devotee, and especially those who are conscious of Krishna only as a historical personality, or who are envious of the greatness of Krishna, should not be told this most confidential part of knowledge. It is, however, sometimes found that even demoniac persons who are envious of Krishna, worshiping Krishna in a different way, take to the profession of explaining Bhagavad Gita in a different way to make business. But anyone who desires actually to understand Krishna must avoid such commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. Actually, the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is not understandable to those who are sensuous, meaning engaged those who are engaged in illicit sex, even if one is not sensuous, but is strictly following the disciples, but simply following the disciples enjoined. Simply following the disciplines enjoined in the Vedic scriptures. If he is not a devotee, he also cannot understand Krishna. And even when one poses himself as a devotee of Krishna, but is not engaged in Krishna's conscious activities, he also cannot understand Krishna. There are many persons who envy Krishna because he has explained in Bhagavad Gita that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and that nothing is above him or equal to him. There are many persons who are envious of Krishna. Such persons should not be told of Bhagavad Gita, for they cannot understand. There is no possibility of faithless persons understanding Bhagavad Gita and Krishna. Without understanding Krishna from the authority of a pure devotee, one should not try to comment upon Bhagavad Gita. Now, these are very serious statements being made. And it's what you would call statements that that we should understand and not violate them. Because if we violate these statements that are being made here, then we'll become fakes. We'll speak about Krishna, but not really out of love and devotion, but simply as to make money or to become famous, etc. But this type of statements that are said here, only pure devotees speak like this. For example, it says, there are many persons who are envious of Krishna. Such persons should not be told of Bhagavad Gita, for they cannot understand. There is no possibility of faithless persons understanding Bhagavad Gita and Krishna. Without understanding Krishna from the authority of a pure devotee, one should not try to comment upon Bhagavad Gita. So these are very serious statements. We are being educated here on what the actual purpose of Bhagavad Gita is. First of all, Bhagavad Gita is not understandable to those who are sensuous, engaged in sexual activities, and always chasing after money and sex. Persons like that are not qualified to hear anything about Krishna. That's why it says, actually, the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is not understandable to those who are sensuous. Even if one is not sensuous, but is strictly following the disciples, but strictly following the disciplines enjoined in the Vedic scriptures, if he is not a devotee, he also cannot understand Krishna. And even when one poses himself as a devotee of Krishna, but is not engaged in Krishna conscious activities, he also cannot understand Krishna. There are many persons who envy Krishna because he has explained in Bhagavad Gita that he is the supreme and that nothing is above him or equal to him. There are many persons who are envious of Krishna. Such persons should not be told of Bhagavad Gita, for they cannot understand. There is no possibility of faithless persons understanding Bhagavad Gita and Krishna. Without understanding Krishna from the authority of a pure devotee, one should not try to comment upon Bhagavad Gita. So there we are. Those are what you would call serious statements of things that we should not do in spiritual life. And we should definitely take spiritual life very, very seriously and not engage in anything frivolous or to joke around, because the knowledge of Krishna is very, very serious, and we have to seriously follow the statements of the bona fide devotees and acharyas especially. If we simply repeat what the acharyas have said, then we won't make any mistakes. But if we become enamored of wanting to be famous, and we try and make our own, let's say, philosophies and statements, we're wasting our time, and we are actually committing an offense by acting like that. If we simply repeat what the Vaishnava acharyas have said, then we don't make any mistakes. And we become genuine devotees. It's very difficult to repeat what a genuine devotee says, because someone might be envious of that devotee, and therefore it's very difficult for him to repeat the words of a pure devotee. But if we can repeat the words of a pure devotee and back it up by living a pure life of Krishna consciousness, then we make real, tangible spiritual advancement, and we'll never make any mistakes, because we're only repeating what has been stated by pure devotees, like Srila Prabhupada. So if we simply repeat what Srila Prabhupada has said, we don't make any mistakes. Or if we simply repeat what's here in Bhagavad Gita, we don't make any mistakes. If we deviate and think that, oh, I have a new understanding of Bhagavad Gita, and then give some speculation about this or that, about Bhagavad Gita, that is a farce, and we will be caught cheating others. Okay, so are there any questions anyone would like to ask or comments? Any questions or comments? Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you for that question. That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, you always, if you're going to preach, you have to be able to understand who you're preaching to. You can't just start preaching, about Radha and Krishna to people who have no experience of Krishna consciousness, right? And start talking about, the most sacred relationship of Radha and Krishna. That people, first of all, if they understand anything, they understand it in a wrong way, and they'll think that the relationship of Radha and Krishna is based on sex. So we should only, first of all, speak what we know. We should not try and speak above our level of knowledge. So, For example, here it says, let me see, let me get this here. It says, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Well, how many people are ready to do that? To give up all varieties of religion. Well, there's so many religions in the world. And some of them have very ancient roots. So here it's saying, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. Me meaning Krishna. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Well, for someone to understand this statement and follow it, there has to be a lot of, let's say, experience with devotees. Only a devotee will understand such a statement, abandon all varieties of religion. What if there's a Christian and his whole life has been worshiping Jesus Christ? And, of course, he eats meat, and he probably has sex also. But he goes to church regularly and thinks that, he has a very pious life. And here we're saying, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me, meaning Krishna. Well, the Christian has always been taught to surrender unto Jesus Christ. So now we're saying you have to surrender completely to Krishna. So you see, it's very hard for a Christian to accept what's being said by Krishna. However, if we want to preach to Christians, then we have to be very careful what we say and how we say it. Because Jesus Christ was a devotee. He was not a demon at all. He was a devotee. So, and there are very many statements that Jesus Christ has made that are the same as any devotee would speak, right? So therefore, we have to always respect these other religions and not unnecessarily criticize them, but to find those parts of the other religions that are very similar to what we do and what we believe. Okay? Then you have some, let's say, some points of thought that are the same. Like, for example, in Christianity, they surrender to Jesus Christ. Well, we also surrendered to Krishna. So that's a point of similarity, right? And then also in Christianity, they believe that one should always pray to God. That's what we do also. We always pray to God. We know a lot more about God maybe than the Christians do, but the Christians are also preaching to God, and we're also preaching to God. So if you want to be a preacher and you have an audience of Christians, then you should say those things that the Christians are able to understand and that are similar to what they believe. Right? If we get into some esoterical parts of Krishna consciousness and trying to teach them to the Christians, they won't be able to understand. In fact, they might even walk out. So, yeah, there are many similarities in Christianity with Krishna consciousness. So if you have some knowledge of Christianity and you have knowledge of Krishna consciousness, then you can speak in such a way that Christians will be able to understand what you're saying and will respect you. So we have to be very careful when we preach to outside people. So now, not everybody is a Christian. There are also atheists. There are also Muslims. There are also demons, So we have to be very careful to understand who the person is that we are talking to. There are some people that don't understand anything spiritual. We can still talk to them. And the best way to talk to them is by giving them Krishna Prasadam. And we don't even have to say it's Prasadam. We say this is a nice food. And because if you say there's something spiritual about the food, a lot of these people say, I don't want it. They think that we put some kind of magical thing in the food, Of course we do, in the sense that it's sanctified food and they'll become purified over time. But it's not some type of evil, potent thing to make them become a follower of Krishna consciousness. Everything about Krishna consciousness is pure. There's nothing mean, nasty, or in any way unholy of Krishna consciousness. So, I'm going to stop right there. Are there any questions or comments? Yes. Yeah. Not only I say that, Srila Prabhupada says it. Yeah. I don't understand your.
What Bible says about Jesus? Is Jesus God or is Jesus Son of God? What Bible says?
The Bible says that he's the Son of God. The modern Christians say he is God. Okay? They, sidelined, they went off. But Jesus was always said to be the Son of God. It's in the Bible. Right? But the Christians have, sort of changed things and said that he is God. Right? Yeah. We believe that Jesus is the Son of God. Yeah. That's what he said also. Yeah.
One time, Maharaj, someone came to the food truck and he asked me the same question. He asked me, he took the prasadam, he's coming regularly.
Yeah.
He asked me, what is your opinion about Jesus?
Yeah.
And I had repeated what you have just explained
Yeah.
in your previous lecture as well. So, and he was very impressed.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's the truth, right? But there are a lot of Christians that will argue and say, no, he is God. And you're Krishna, he's nobody. Or he's some magician or whatever. So, you can't really speak to people like that. They'll blaspheme. They'll make blasphemies. So you just walk away quietly. And but every time you see that person, you can give him prasadam. Sometimes you have to not preach to people. But actually, when you give them prasadam, you are preaching to them, but in a different way. And later on, they will appreciate that. But if right away you start talking about, surrendering, Krishna is the only God, nobody else is God, and so, they'll get really upset, right? But if you give people nice prasadam and speak to them nicely, and don't really preach, but simply by giving them prasadam, you are preaching to them. The prasadam is preaching to them, right? And eventually, they'll start asking questions. Maybe not right away, but if they see that you're not trying to preach to them, but you are just simply, genuinely, spiritually inclined, they'll respect that. And then eventually, after, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4 years, they'll say, and by the way, what are you guys doing exactly? What is your religion all about? Have you ever met people like that have been coming to the food truck for a long time, and after a certain period of time, they start asking questions. They say, what is this Krishna consciousness all about? Is it more than simply giving people food? You know, you encountered that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
There are some people, they are still, they started coming like when food truck got started, like 7, 8 years back. They are still coming.
yeah,
And after a few years, they had started asking these questions.
yeah,
Then we gave them like small books,
yeah.
very small,
That's very good.
just so that they can get some idea.
Yeah.
And they were coming, they were reading, and they were coming back like, okay, what does this mean?
See, that's the way to preach. That's the way to
They
preach.
know where to go and whom to ask because we
Yeah.
have a regular contact
Yeah,
with food truck.
yeah. See, that's you see. Sometimes people, sometimes even Prabhupada said, simply giving food to people will not really, it will not really make them Krishna conscious. Right? And he said something like that, right? But we're not just giving food; we're giving prasadam, and we are doing it with love and devotion, and we're giving people time to try and understand what we're doing. We're not trying to force them to understand, but giving them time to understand. So they're coming every week to have prasadam, and eventually they'll understand this is sanctified food, and then they'll start asking questions, but it might be years before they start asking questions. So we don't make them, we don't force them to, like the Christians, they'll force people to sit down and hear a lecture about Jesus, and then they'll give them food. Have you ever heard about that? Yeah. Many of the Christian preachers here, even in Seattle, they don't give you their food until you sit down and hear a lecture from them about Jesus. We don't do that. But over time, eventually, these people that we've been feeding for, let's say, months or years, they begin to ask questions. What's your religion believe, and what's this Krishna? And then, you see, they become because they've become purified by eating prasadam. Haribol. Any other questions? Okay, yes.
So Maharaj, one person had asked me, like you have explained the common things we find in different religions. So one time one person had asked that, what do you think, which religion is better, like yours or mine? Like, so how to tackle these such questions? Like he was asking like, which religion is better? Like that person was from some Hindu background, but not exactly Krishna consciousness. But I didn't go into detail because he was my friend, but I know that they cannot answer.
He's your friend?
Yeah. So I didn't go into too detail because they
No,
cannot.
you can see very clearly. It's not a question of my religion, your religion. That religion, which is teaching people to love God, that is the best religion. You leave it at that. And that's a fact. The whole purpose of religion is to love God. So if there's a Christian that really loves God, he's bona fide. If there's a devotee of, ISKCON devotee that loves God, he's achieved the real purpose of spirituality. The whole purpose of religion is to learn to love God. And how do you know someone actually loves God? Well, they are doing what Mother Yasoda did for her son, sacrificing everything to protect her son and showing her love and devotion and so forth. So that's what determines if someone is a devotee or not. A devotee will actually love Krishna and sacrifice for Krishna and always speak about Krishna and always be surrendered to Krishna in devotional service. So that is what we're trying to do as a devotee. We're trying to surrender always to the Lord. Now, there's different aspects of surrendering, but the whole idea is that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we are all his servants. So that clears the, let's say, any doubts about who God is and who we are. Right? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we are the servants of Krishna. Pretty simple. It's not complicated. Okay, so I think we'll stop right there unless you have any other questions or comments. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah? Yeah, go ahead.
So Maharaj, some other friend, we were discussing, he was asking about the law of karma.
Yeah.
So I had explained him about the law of karma and also explained him if you engage in devotion service and chant Hare Krishna and follow Krishna consciousness, your karma will start, their karma will start removing, the bad karma will also get removed, like gradually. So his question was, follow-up question was that how do I know my all bad karma is gone, like it's removed? How do we know?
When you start chanting Hare Krishna. When you start chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day.
But it will remove gradually, so his question was like, how do I know that my all bad karma is gone now?
Well, because as he comes regularly to the food truck and eats prasadam, that's one sign that his karma is going away, because he's regularly coming and eating prasadam. And then secondly, every time he comes, not in the beginning, but after some time, he comes to the prasadam for the truck, and he says Hare Krishna. Right? He doesn't say it in the beginning, but after so many times coming to the truck, and you always say Hare Krishna to him, then he gets, then he starts saying Hare Krishna to you, and also he is eating prasadam. So now those are two things that he's doing regularly, right? And then eventually he'll say, well, what is all your, what is your philosophy? So then you give him a book about Krishna. So now he's eating prasadam, he's saying Hare Krishna, and he's reading a book about Krishna. You see how it works? Step by step,
And Maharaj, he went one more step forward, he's now serving in food truck as a volunteer.
Yeah, exactly. He's doing seva. Yeah, so you see, it's a genuine, it's a gradual process, And if you do it, if you keep it like that, you're not in a hurry. You'd say, if you don't surrender right now, then we don't want to talk to you. No, that's not preaching. It takes time for people to understand something about Krishna, right? And it takes time for people to trust you as being a genuine person, right? So if we're not in a hurry, they're not in a hurry, eventually they'll become devotees. Right? Haribol. Okay, all glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Huh? Okay, here. Oh, okay. All right, give this to you. Haribol. Thank you.